Okay, good evening, everyone. I call this meeting to order. Mauricio?
I'll take the roll, ma'am. Commissioner Joseph,
Here.
Commissioner Lama,
Here.
Commissioner Stuvasan is not present. Vice Mayor Vizcarra,
Here.
Mayor Svechin.
Here.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you. If everyone could please stand for the honor guard and remain standing. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ex-chief, former chief, would you?
Please place your right hand over your heart. Those in uniform, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor guard may
Retire the
retire.
guard.
Please be seated.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. To all in attendance tonight and those watching via live streaming, let us bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight to ask your blessings upon each of us. Just as the sun rises to begin a new day, January is the mark of a new year, a new beginning, full of new opportunities. It also allows us to reflect on the events of the past, for loved ones we have lost, family members and friends, as well as those who served us and our city in any way to make things better. We ask you for your direction and guidance in unifying us in our efforts to provide professional service to our residents and visitors. May we be inclusive of everyone who seeks a quality of life that is fitting and desired. Please provide wisdom and guidance to our city council, city officials, department heads, and every employee who strives to do their best in providing service and progress for our city. And finally, Father, there is the last line of a prayer requesting guidance and unity and wisdom and courage that states, "And thou shalt renew the face of the earth." On Monday evening, January 2nd, 2023, only the second day of this new year, you sent us a message that made our entire country stop and unify through prayer around one of your children, critically injured before our very eyes on national TV. Prayer unified our country, if only for a few hours and a few days, asking for your intercession and blessing, which created a positive outcome. Never let the power of prayer to you from us be underestimated as we seek to do your will in a unified, inclusive, compassionate, and collaborative manner. And thou shalt renew the face of the earth, to which all said, Amen.
Amen. Thank you. It's beautiful. Mr. City Clerk?
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for December 15, 2022.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Next
you.
item?
Next item is the order of business. We have just a few changes to tonight's agenda. We are deferring the following items: 12B, 12C, 12D, 12E, and 12F. All of them are discussion items, and all of them are belonging to Commissioner Suvasan, who is unable to attend this evening.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next item is 5A, special presentation by former Mayor Norman Alcott. And I apologize, we should go back for the introductory video.
That's right, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for being here tonight. Please turn off or mute any electronic devices to avoid interrupting these proceedings. In all issues that come before the City Commission, we ask that everyone show mutual respect for one another by listening quietly to each person speaking, and that everyone refrain from any clapping, heckling, or verbal outbursts in favor or in opposition to a speaker. Individuals that do not adhere to Chapter 74, Rules of Procedure of the Code, particularly Section 74-21, decorum, shall be barred from further appearance before the Commission. Individuals who want to speak on any item on the agenda are asked to fill out a public speaker's card and give it to the City Clerk before the item is called. Speakers are asked to speak to the issues, make comments concise and to the point, and refrain from making duplicate comments. All speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. If you speak out of turn without permission from the chair and or do not cease speaking after one warning, you will be escorted out of the chambers.
I just want to quickly say that in the back, if anyone chooses to speak, we have 3 speaker cards, for, against, and for informational purposes. I'm going to remind you throughout the meeting to please go ahead and fill that out. And please remember, if you do not fill it out before the item is called, you will not be allowed to speak. So if you even consider that you want to speak, you can just go ahead and grab it right now. And then very quickly, I just want to recognize a few previous elected officials in the audience. We have the former Vice Mayor, Jeanette Gatto, in the back. We have our former Vice Mayor, Lou Thaler, in the front, and our former Mayor, Norman Alcott. Thank you for being here. Go ahead, City Clerk.
Okay. The first item of the presentations is a presentation by former Mayor Norman Alcott.
Good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Commissioners. It's a great honor to be here tonight and welcoming the newly elected Commission to Sunny Isles Beach. And what I have in front of me is the gavel that I had as mayor for 11 years. And I want to present this gavel to our next mayor, Larissa Swetchen, and it's a great honor to give it to her. There is a story about this gavel. It's the city's second gavel. The first gavel was presented to Mayor Sampson when the city was formed. And when Mayor Sampson died, we had difficulty in trying to find his gavel, and we found out later members of his family had arranged to take the gavel and bury it with him. So the first gavel of our city is no longer in our city. So this is really the second gavel, or the only official gavel now left in our city. So I would like to present it to our mayor, and if you would come down, I would present it to you. It's my honor to turn the gavel over to you. I'm sure it's in good, trusting hands, and I hope that the gavel brings you great success, and that the gavel also is a symbol of the unity that you're going to be bringing to our city. The city, unfortunately, one of the reasons that I've asked to speak tonight is that I believe I've heard from so many residents that are really dissatisfied with all the negativity and dissidents that occurred within our city's elections over the last few years. And we really, in support of all of our citizens, wish to present to the Commission the opportunity to start anew again and bring unity to our city, because that was the reason we formed in 1997. And as one of the founding fathers still living in our city, that was one of my missions, to make sure that we had a community where all of our residents would be respected and all of our commissioners would also be respected for the time they serve. They give their time freely, and I think it's very important that everyone remember that civility is the backbone of our country. Unfortunately, our country today is in a terrible shape, and I believe this problem of not having civil obedience and civil discourse with one another emanates from the national level down, but I think it can only be corrected by starting from the local level up. So I'm hoping that our city is in the forefront of bringing unity back to our city. I also bring these same wishes to you from our former Mayor Bud Scholl and Danny Iglesias, who has written a letter to me, which I'll give to the city clerk to be put into the record. But basically, it's the same message that only by unity can our city work together, and we hope that the gavel will be the symbol of unity in our next administration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that Commissioner Stuyvesant is not here because she's attending the school board meeting that's happening at our school, the namesake of our former mayor. It's with the district and some parents, and we here on the commission would have loved to all go, but obviously we have to be here in order to do the work of the city and continue with business. And I thank the former mayor for coming here, and he's going to be running over there as well to hear what they have to say and to hopefully come to a solution. We here on the dais, I think I speak for everyone, feel very strongly about making sure that our school, your namesake, remains an amazing A school that brings in the best sort of residents, brings up our property values, and we are committed as a city to help them in any way that they need. We've been in contact with them, and I just wanted everyone that perhaps is listening at home to know that, and in the audience as well, that Commissioner Stuyvesant is there. She's not just missing the meeting. They're both very important meetings. So thank you, Mayor. Mr. City Clerk.
Okay, the next item is 5B, a proclamation presented for Tree City, USA. And just a quick clarification, Mayor, the next 3 items have photo ops. So we're going to ask the commission to just go through the presentations, and then you all can go downstairs.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commission. I'm pleased to announce our 2022 Tree City USA recognition. The city first applied and got awarded in 2019, making this our 4th consecutive year being recognized. Arbor Day is observed on the 3rd Friday of January in Florida. I hope you all can join us tomorrow at Pelican Community Park at 9:30 a.m. as we plant 2 green buttonwood trees. Tonight's proclamation demonstrates our continued commitment to our vision of preserving the natural environment of the city. I'd like to call the commission down and have Gail Vasile and Fabrizio Volpe come accept this proclamation on behalf of the key departments in charge of ensuring the well-being of our trees. Thank you.
So we're going to just wait to come down at the same time, but
Perfect.
if you guys just want to come up front. Thank you.
Just take a seat. Sorry.
Sorry.
They didn't mean to be rude.
Mr. City Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is 5B, 5C, Police Department presentations.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Manager. I'm proud to stand before you and our residents tonight to recognize members of our department, members of your police department. I want to start off by recognizing our Officer of the Year, Mitch Glansberg. Detective Glansberg is a type of officer you can call at any time, day or night, and he always asks, how can I help? He consistently volunteers his time to educate young officers and investigators on how to handle investigations. No task is too small or too large for Mitch. Whether it's a complex fraud investigation or petty theft, the same enthusiasm and effort is put into both. This past year, Detective Glansberg receives praise not only from supervisors, but also members of the community. His most recent commendation was from a victim of a crime he investigated in November of 2022. Quote, "His diligent work and professionalism gives me the utmost confidence in the Sunny Isles Police Department's ability to best protect our community," end of quote. When positive feedback is received from a victim of a crime, that is an indication that our agency is policing the right way. Detective Glansberg is an example of how this agency is dedicated to this community. He also received a commendation from the Investigations Unit Sergeant for his work on locating a missing juvenile. He was called out at 2 o'clock in the morning, and after an extensive and exhaustive search using many investigative techniques, the juvenile was located safe and sound 14 hours later. In May of 2022, Detective Glansberg received Officer of the Month for his work on a fraud investigation of an elderly victim. The case took almost a year to investigate, but ultimately led to the arrest of a Sunny Isles Beach resident who posed as a U.S. military member and preyed on the good nature of the victim to steal $60,000 from her. It was only because of Detective Glansberg's tenacity the case was resolved. Another noteworthy case, Detective Glansberg resolved a local developer who was scammed for $1.6 million. Detective Glansberg utilized his network and financial contacts to reverse the fraudulent transaction and return the money to the victim. If he had not acted so quickly, the money would have been removed from the account and likely never have been recovered. So Mitch is under the weather tonight, and I know he's streaming it at home live and he's watching, and he sent an email that he asked me to read to everybody, if I may.
Sure.
Chief, I'm sorry I'm not able to attend the meeting. I'm still under the weather, as you know. If you would not mind, please share my sentiments with all. Mayor, manager, commissioners, chief, and all command staff and officers, thank you for this incredible honor that you have bestowed upon me. I accept this Officer of the Year award, and in turn, I give all the credit to my Detective Bureau colleagues and our amazing Sergeant Javier Estevez. As a team, we're all instrumental in our unit's successful year. I also honor and give credit to all the uniformed patrol units, their sergeants, and their lieutenants who provided amazing guidance. Lieutenant Plisa provided leadership as a unit commander, and what was achieved as a unit would be impossible without him. And finally, Chief Santiago, the credit goes to you for the working environment you have created. You support the hard work of all the men and women of the department, and this award is a credit to you. Respectfully submitted, Detective Mitch Glansberg. So Javier Estevez is going to come down to accept the award on his behalf, and I promise I won't be as long-winded for the next. So Javier, I'd like to have you have a seat for the picture opportunity. So next, I would like to announce the Communications Officer of the Year, Luane Mendoza. Luane, come on up. Communicating Officer Luane Mendoza joined our agency in September of 2021 and was immediately welcomed by our coworkers because of her professionalism, excellent work ethic, and positive attitude. Furthermore, she understands the immense level of responsibility in her position, specifically as it relates to the officers and their safety. Luane has put forth maximum effort into training others and is without a doubt a true asset to our department. She came from Miami-Dade. We're honored to have you, and it's with great admiration and pride that I award you with this year's Communications Officer of the Year for 2022. Next is going to be Ocean Rescue Officer of the Year, Juan Cuellar. Juan Cuyar, Ocean Rescue, joined Ocean Rescue in 2009, and since then has become a model employee. Juan always requests the busiest tower and has volunteered to be responsible for making sure the jet ski is maintained and in working order. Juan is also a trainer for our new Ocean Rescue hires and never says no. So it is with great admiration and pride that I award you the Ocean Rescue Officer of the Year for 2022. And lastly, it's a special recognition award, Chiefs Award. It goes to Lori Fletcher. So she had an emergency, last minute family emergency, unable to attend, so Sergeant Bill Howe is going to accept on her behalf. Lori Fletcher is our crime scene and property custodian and has joined our agency in July of last year and hit the floor running. Since being hired, she made many improvements and enhancements not only to the property and evidence unit, but throughout the whole police station. Ms. Fletcher's expertise in evidence collection and handling has made this department better at the way we process crime scenes, which generates important leads for investigators. For this reason, I want to award crime scene and property custodian Lori Fletcher with the Chief Special Recognition Award. So lastly, I would like to recognize our newest hire for police officer. And I'm proud to say that she comes from within. She's actually still a communications officer. She's a police dispatcher. Layden Rodriguez, please come on up. She's been with us for approximately almost 7 years, and she started in the police academy on January 30th. She remains and continues to be a tremendous asset to our agency.
Maybe we can come down, take this picture so then they can go. Yeah, let's do that.
Can we do the last two before they go down to take the pictures? Yes, please,
Okay, go
if you don't mind, Mayor.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is 5D, City Manager Award.
Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the Commission, this is the prestigious City Manager Award. To give you an idea of the significance of this award, last year the recipients of this award saved the life of one of our residents. That was an extraordinary event, and thankfully we did not have that type of incident this year. The purpose of this award is to recognize someone who has gone above and beyond in their service to the city, working alongside the staff, and serving the residents. This person is one of the hardest working people in the city and well respected by the staff and residents alike. In the time that I have known this person, they have always treated others with respect while having a demeanor of professionalism and courtesy. I have served alongside this person who handled 6 elections, elections the former Mayor Edelcup alluded to. You never realize the value of a person until you work alongside them. So for 2022, the City Manager Award goes to Mauricio Betancourt.
Oh, and a plaque too.
So you didn't tell him in advance?
Okay,
No, surprise.
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
Next time.
Okay, so, okay, I will. Really, I'm at a loss for words. It's always nice to be recognized for the work that one does. Really, I can't even take all the credit for myself because I have an amazing staff. Marlene, who's in the back, Luz, who's sitting right there in the last row. As I've always said, it's because of them that I am able to, focus on the things that I need to focus on, namely the past year, as Stan mentioned, the 6 elections that we had, which are very challenging in themselves. But again, it's because of them, the help that they give me, the support that they give me. It's really for them. And this word I share with both of you. And thank you to the city manager, to the rest of the commission. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to?
No, we can go downstairs.
Okay.
Yes, get it there, Myra.
Commissioners, if you could just hold on 1 second. I just have one announcement. So as I mentioned earlier, I have an amazing staff, both Marlene and Luz. But it is also a little bit of a sad day because I am losing one of them. Luz, she is happily retiring. We'll be leaving, the last day will be next week. But I just wanted to say a few words and recognize her because even though she is probably the first point of contact between the city and the residents, she does a lot of the work behind the scenes. A lot of the work that, again, allows me to focus on the things that I need to focus on. And without her, the past 12 years that we've worked together would have been very difficult. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for everything that you've done. You've been amazing. I've never had a complaint about you, your work product, your just the person that you are. And I've received many compliments throughout the year from very prominent residents and different residents alike of your professionalism,
and of just the attention that you show and the work productivity that you have. So thank you very much for everything. You're going to be dearly missed. It's going to be hard to replace you, but I'm happy that you're going to have all the free time to be able to do what you want. So if you can just come up, please.
So before you announce the next item, I just wanted to say that this was actually requested by me in response to Commissioner Stevenson article, Islander article that she wrote, which I think the rest of the commission agrees with wholeheartedly about rules of this body and decorum and how we basically get work done and whose responsibility is what, and just to help us move things along so that we can get the work of the city complete. So I appreciate the next item that you're going to be reading.
Okay, so the next item is a presentation regarding meeting procedures, decorum, and governance. This will be a joint presentation between myself and the city attorney, and I'll just kick it off really quickly. We're going to start if, Vanessa, you can play the PowerPoint. So as the mayor mentioned, the presentation is about the proper procedures to follow during these commission meetings. The very first thing that I want to bring your attention to is that we have a section in our code, which is Chapter 74, which is the rules of procedure. And basically that section or that chapter is the one that governs how these meetings are supposed to be conducted. One of the key components in this chapter is that it also refers to the Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedures. And the only time that we would refer to that manual is if there's a gap or if there's an issue that is not addressed in our Chapter 74. That chapter also provides the roles and the duties for each of the officers, starting with the presiding officer, who is the mayor. She has she's tasked with the responsibility to preserve strict order and decorum at all of our commission meetings, and that includes the special meetings and workshops. She also has the authority to recognize the speaker, to secure the floor for the speaker, and to keep the order during the time that the speaker has the floor. The city clerk is also an officer, and their role is to call the roll, make sure that there is a quorum to be able to proceed with the meeting, prepare the minutes of the meeting, of the action that is taken at that meeting, and to certify the ordinances and resolutions. The city attorney is the third officer, and their role is to act as a parliamentarian. They are charged with advising the presiding officer with the parliamentary procedure and the proper flow of the meeting, to say the least. Chapter 74 also provides certain guidelines that are to be followed. Namely, here on the dais, not everyone is allowed, obviously, to come up on the dais, not even employees themselves, unless express permission is granted by the presiding officer. Section 7418, which is citizens' presentations. Any member of the public has the opportunity to place an item on the agenda. The only caveat is that it can only be done through the presiding officer or any other member of the commission or the city manager. It's not like they can come to me as the person that sets the agenda and request to have an item placed on the agenda. It has to go through one of the 5 commissioners. With that said, they also have the right to be heard on any item that's placed on the agenda, on the official agenda. They are limited to 3. I'm so sorry. Okay. So they're limited to 3 minutes, but before they are granted the permission to speak, they have to register. And as you mentioned, Mayor, in the beginning of the meeting, all speakers have to register before the item is called. And I want to make emphasis on this point because a lot of times, or oftentimes what happens is that sometimes these meetings can get animated and get emotional, and there may be some outbursts from the audience. And that's fine, and we encourage public participation, but there's also rules that need to be followed. The very first one, as I mentioned, is the registration of the speakers. The speaker cards are located in the table in the back. There are 3 of them. It's for, against, and for information. They have to be turned in again before the item is called, and they will be called once the item is being heard by the commission. Failure to submit a speaker card in a timely fashion, and again, before the item is called, it'll be basically up to the presiding officer to decide whether that person is allowed to speak or not. Once the person is granted permission to address the commission, there are also rules to follow for that. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. So all comments should be addressed to the commission as a whole, not to any individual member of the commission. And it should be addressed through the presiding officer. There shouldn't be any discussions, one-on-one discussions between any person on the dais. And again, it's all through the presiding officers. When it comes to discussion regarding an item that's on the agenda that's being considered, again, as a presiding officer, the mayor has the authority to recognize the speaker, and that includes members of the commission. So whenever there's an item being considered, it's important to direct your comments as a commission to the chair, who will then in turn have the city manager address the issue, or he has the ability to be able to call up a staff member, whoever the item relates to answer the question. We're asking that all that be done through the chair, who then in turn will speak with the city manager or direct the city manager to either answer the question or have staff come up. The next part is decorum. I briefly mentioned it just a little bit ago, that these meetings can sometimes become animated, to say the least, a little bit emotional, and we understand that. It's important to maintain proper decorum at these meetings. So any person that is making any slanderous remarks, who becomes boisterous while addressing the commission, they may be barred from addressing the commission again at that meeting or any other future meetings. And only if the majority of the commission agrees to allow that person to do so again is the only time that they will be allowed. I do want to mention that the presiding officer does have the authority to have someone escorted out of the chambers, but our recommendation is to only use that as a last resort, and after several warnings have been given to the person. And then again, whenever there is any item that is being considered, no clapping, applauding, heckling, or verbal outbursts in support or in opposition are permitted. And signs, placards, anything that may cause a disruption is not allowed, unless the presiding officer allows that. The only exception to that is campaign material. Per state law, no campaign material is allowed in commission meetings. With that, I will turn it over to our city attorney.
Thank you, Mauricio. Good evening, everybody. So I'm going to be discussing rules of debate. Now, I know historically the city has not always followed the rules very formally. We've had a very informal commission when people have wanted to comment on the dais on a certain item. Everybody's just been able to jump in, say their comments, and sometimes people talk over each other. However, our procedures on our code are actually very specific and provide for more formal rules. So if you've ever seen a county commission meeting, for example, that's really the type of formality that should, in theory, be followed. And I think the hope is to kind of get to that, where, before speaking, you would go through the chair. If you can, I don't have a clicker, go to the next, okay, perfect, thank you. All right, so the rules of debate are exclusively contained in section 74-22 of the code. As the presiding officer, she cannot either move or second an item. So in the event that she wants to make a motion, she would have to relinquish the chair to do so. We often call that, passing the gavel. So she would pass her newly minted gavel to the vice mayor, and then the vice mayor would chair that item until the final vote is called on that specific item. Also, in order to get the floor to speak, really you need to be recognized first through the chair. So again, like if you see often, in county commission meetings, they preface it with through the chair or chair, and then you wait to be recognized, and then you have the floor and the ability to speak. The conversations or the comments should be limited to the item at hand. I think it goes without saying, our code provides also no personal attacks, no kind of inflammatory language. It really should be solely to the business at hand. Once the chair gives somebody the floor, that person should not be interrupted. They should be able to speak until they're no longer recognized or they're complete with their comments. If in the event there is a call for a point of order, and there is a disagreement as to the chair's ruling, then a majority of the commission is able to overrule the ruling of the chair. So again, because we haven't really historically been following these rules very strictly, this is something that we can walk through, albeit when the situation were to arise. Go ahead.
Can you give an example of a point of order?
So let's say you're making a comment that's not pertinent to the item, or, the chair says, that is not pertinent to this item, you're no longer recognized. And then everybody's like, well, let Commissioner Vizcarra finish speaking. And so there'll be a point of order, and then the majority of the board can allow you to continue speaking, even though the chair no longer recognized you. The code interestingly provides that other than for zoning matters, conversations or debate on one item should not exceed half an hour unless a majority of the board agrees. So I'm not sure that's always been strictly complied with, but that's something to be mindful of, that there actually is a time limit or an intended time limit for discussions on a single item. All right, so the next set of rules really has to do with voting. So as most of you already know, or all of you already know, tie votes, basically, it's as if it failed. It's the status quo. It has no effect, and it's removed from the agenda. The code also provides that a commissioner can change their vote, but basically you have to do it really quickly. So if you change your mind, do it quickly, because you have to do so before the next item is called, or before recess or adjournment, whichever occurs first. So once you move on to the next item, you can't say, oh, I've changed my mind. It's too late at that point for a vote change. If an item does not get a motion or a second, then essentially the item has failed, and it likewise will be removed from the agenda. And the only way to revisit that item is on a motion to renew, which we'll talk about on the next slide. The next type of procedural matter that can be taken up is a motion to reconsider. So let's say you want the commission to reconsider an action that was already taken. First, it cannot be at the same meeting or the next meeting thereafter. and it can only be made by a commissioner on the prevailing side. So if you were on the losing side of the action, you can't raise it at that time. It has to be somebody who prevailed. And it requires 2/3 of a commission vote. If the motion to reconsider passes, it rescinds the prior action so that it can be heard again. Next slide. So that differs from a motion to renew. So let's say the time has passed for reconsideration because you didn't bring it up at the same meeting or the very next meeting, or you were not on the prevailing side of an action, or it's an action that failed to get a motion or a second. Then you can do a motion to renew, but it cannot be brought within 3 months unless 3 commissioners support that matter. Now, if you try to bring it up before those 3 months, then the chair can deem that matter out of order. And the rationale is simple. You know, if something didn't get a motion or a second, or if it already failed, obviously you don't want to have the same item being heard over and over again when clearly there was no support for it. So there's a prescribed amount of time that needs to pass before you can revisit it again. Okay, next. All right, and since, although all of you have been here for some time, because all the commissioners are sitting here at once, we felt it was a good opportunity to do kind of a brief overview of good governance and some ethics considerations, just as a refresher. So, of course, stating the obvious, you as the commission are the policy makers. You know, you have the authority of all the legislative power. I think the best analogy for the public is, you know, if the city's a corporation, they're the board of directors, and the city manager is the CEO. So the board of directors makes policy, and the manager as a CEO is implementing those policies and doing the day-to-day operations. So to that end, the charter is very specific that neither individual commission members nor the commission can tell the manager who to hire or fire, nor can the commission interfere with the employees, nor should they be directing individual employees to do anything. So if you need, you know, records, something to be done, everything should be done through the manager versus through employees. Likewise, individual commissioners cannot direct the manager to do anything. He serves the commission as a whole. So if there's a specific item that you guys want to take action on, it should be brought before the commission, and then the commission would either adopt a resolution or there would be consensus to direct the manager to take whatever specific action or policy direction that the commission would like. I can't.
No, the
All
next
right.
slide is a cone of silence.
Yeah, this is, we actually switched out the slides. All right, thank you. So for conflicts of interest, you guys have already done this, especially through your ethics training. Obviously, you cannot use your position to secure special benefits or privileges. There is an additional ethics code that is contained in our code that's a little bit more restrictive even than the county ethics code. And it provides that you cannot recommend professional services. I think that would be stating the obvious. Oh, I have a friend's architectural firm that I really think you should use. You cannot make specific recommendations for vendors. And then I think that leads into essentially the same premise for the cone of silence, which the city recently adopted, just as a reminder. It's part and parcel of the same thing, which is when there's a bid out for goods or services, the commission's prohibited from speaking to either the city manager or staff or any committee members, and of course, any potential vendors about the pending bid. And that's basically it.
Thank you. I just wanted to again remind you, if you wanted to get a speaker card, please go ahead and grab one. And then really, it's unfortunate that Commissioner Stevenson wasn't here because this really was something that she wrote about. But the only thing that I would add is the ADA compliance, which is really important. And that's one of the reasons that we should all only speak when you are recognized. So thank you. Does anyone in the commission have anything that they wanted to add to that, or?
I would.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I think this is certainly timely. We've been not particularly disciplined forever. I mean, since it's just been kind of like the culture, but it is important, and I think it may feel rude, right, to when somebody says, "Oh, but I want to." It's important for us to adhere to the rules, and then that way people learn also, and they get used to, okay, just take that moment, be reminded, go ahead and do the card. But sometimes it's very natural. Somebody says something and you respond, and we're going to have to be disciplined about not doing that, and or interrupting each other, or be as conversational as we've been. I think it's good to like go back to the basics, and that way we all play by the same rules. So I think it's a good thing.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right, wonderful. Thank you for the presentation. Next item, Mauricio.
Next item is ordinances for second reading, and it's an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, amending ordinance number 22-595, approving budget amendment number BA 2223-01 to the city's operating capital improvement budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year, general fund, street maintenance and construction fund, building fund, capital projects fund, stormwater fund, and stormwater capital fund, authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to implement the terms and conditions of this ordinance, providing for an effective date. And this is second and final reading.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City staff. I'm here to present this item only because our illustrious Finance Director could not be here tonight. She had a procedure yesterday, and it has continued to disable her to today. She will hopefully be back to work tomorrow, but she couldn't be here tonight, and she sends her apologies in advance for not being here to present her item. This is second reading, so we went through this pretty thoroughly last month, and the introduction is self-explanatory. The items that are in here, I'm going to defer to the Commission and the manager for any questions you may have.
Does anyone on the commission have a question?
No.
No? So I do, because I, of course, was not here last month, so I did not get the opportunity to hear the detail. And while I tried very diligently to get as much information as possible, because this is such an important item, I was not able to get all the information I needed for the first portion, which is the cost of living addition, or rather change. So I want to pass the gavel to the Vice Mayor, and I would like to make a motion to remove the first item, the cost of living, so that I have a little bit more time until the next meeting to bring that back for us to vote, so that we can proceed with 2 and 3, because as I understand, we really need to vote on that tonight, but the first item can wait. So I'm making that motion, and
Is there a second? Okay. So hearing no second, that motion will fail, and then the original motion will remain on the table.
thank you for giving that back. So Audra, can you please just, for the sake of the record, clarify the cost of living amounts?
Absolutely.
Sure.
I would be glad to. So I went through the details because I anticipated this question. The general fund total changes are $535,000, of which $115,000 of that, almost $116,000, are the property insurance changes. So that leaves approximately $420,000 of effect in the general fund. The portion, hold on, let me put on my glasses. I apologize. Can no longer read anything without the glasses. The portion in the street construction and maintenance fund, that are those.
Oh, I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. I just meant the first item.
That is the first item, but there are 3 funds that raises or the COLA affects. And the 3 funds are the general fund, the
Who's
streets.
getting the cost? Oh,
Yes, ma'am, so I wanted to give you total cost as you were requesting.
Mm-hmm.
The total cost of the cost of living adjustment item 1, which you are asking, was approximately $420,000 in the general fund, approximately $23,000 in the streets construction maintenance fund, and $79,452 in the building fund. That's the total impact of letter A, or the item 1 in the budget amendment.
So what is the purpose for the increase of the cost of living to the salaries?
So this was to take the cost of living adjustment, which was originally budgeted for April 1st, 2023, 6 months of the year, and to back it to October 1, 2022, to make it a full year COLA.
And we are increasing the 3% because of what reason?
We're not increasing the 3%, we're just making it for the entire year. In other words,
All right,
awarding the 3%.
forgive me, I was not here the entire year. So
Yeah. So it would
walk me through the history.
Yes.
So last year, the employees of our city received an increase based on the Evergreen study, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So why wasn't this cost of living increase baked into that amount? Why is this a secondary increase is my question.
Stan, would you like to explain? Because Stan had particular reasons why he was bringing this back.
Sure, thank you.
Yes, the reason is that the data by the time we had received it for the Evergreen study was getting stagnant. It was already 2 years old, so we needed to implement that as soon as we could. So we implemented the study at that time, which was in April 3rd of 2022.
So April 3rd, 2022 is when the salaries were adjusted for everyone, or was it throughout the year?
For everyone at that time. Yes.
Okay. And so last year, there was no cost of living increase. It was just that one adjustment.
There was a cost of living adjustment on April 17th of 2022.
So there's cost of living adjustment and a salary adjustment.
Yes,
Okay.
Mayor.
So again, I want to understand, and really for the purpose of the public and anyone that's listening, why are we making it retroactive if there was a cost of living adjustment last April?
Would you like me to address it? It was in the original budget when presented. They decided to remove it. The reason they were backing it back to October 1st is so that every year it would be in the original budget in its entirety for a full year at a time, and not only for 6 months of the year, so that the commission could see what a full year's adjustment costs, because all the commission has seen for a number of years now is that the 6-month worth of raises, and not what the COLA costs the city on an annual basis. That also was designed to be transparent and keep up with. We gave a COLA last year, that was the regular budgeted COLA, to keep us going, because that data was 2 years old, so they went ahead and gave the COLA last year. But they wanted to go ahead and do it. The plan originally was to give it again 10-1, so that we maintained that progress, that we didn't get further behind than we already were, with salaries incomparable to other municipalities and other organizations in the county. That was strictly the decision.
So when was the study completed?
In April 3rd of 2022.
April 3rd, 2022. And we have the completed study?
I believe that was provided to you
No?
in your data? No?
The study has been completed minus the job descriptions, yes.
Okay, so the study was completed in April 3rd, 2022, but the information in the study was already stagnant?
By that time, we were working off data that we had received over the period of 2 years. And with the market changing the way that it is, that's the real reason for the COLA. That, along with the cost of health insurance. Last year, our health insurance went up 7% for employees. This year, it's projected to go up 5.2%. So that's the reason, yes.
Okay, and please know that I'm asking all these questions because it's important that we go through this. We have
course.
to be good stewards of the public's money, and I think everyone in the commission feels very strongly about that. And I want for the record to say that I certainly believe that those that deserve to get a raise should absolutely, and however, I think it should be merit-based, and I believe that while everyone should be at whatever level that is comparable to other cities, I just didn't have enough information to be able, and I still don't, regrettably, to be able to compare. I'm still not understanding the retroactive. I've never seen a cost of living in any anywhere else. I don't know if any other cities do this. Do other cities make cost of living retroactive that you know of?
I don't know any history of other cities.
Have we ever done that? Have we ever made it retroactive?
Mayor, if I may?
Sure.
Yes, it had been done retroactively here once before, at least once before.
Once before?
Yes.
And what was the financial impact of that? Do you know approximately?
I'm sorry, I do not.
Okay. So the financial impact of this would be $55,000?
It's, so 420 plus 23 plus 79, whatever that adds up to. I apologize, I didn't add them in my head before I brought.
That,
There you go.
yes,
520.
that would be the
Over
maximum,
500,000.
but we also have a number of vacancies that would help to cover the cost.
Okay. And so that is for 6 months, correct?
That is the 6-month impact. The 6 months of that impact was already in the budget. Because
Okay.
it was budgeted for April 1, yes, ma'am.
Well, I need you to be quiet, please, because we could hear you. So for the year, it would be $1 million impact, correct? For 12 months?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this $1
Mayor?
million is going to carry over? You're recognized.
Thank you. If I may add one more thing, the projected numbers that were submitted in the budget amendment is based on every single position that was budgeted on October 1. So there are vacant positions, there are people who have left. So it is, I wouldn't say significantly less, but that number
Worst case scenario.
is higher. It's worst case scenario. All of that would not be used for this purpose.
Okay. And again, for the purpose of the public understanding, this would have a $1 million impact for every year after this, correct?
Correct.
At least.
It is an ongoing,
Of
correct.
course, it's an
Yes.
increase.
It's a recurring expense, yes, ma'am.
Right. And so is there, Mr. City Manager, are we continuing this practice of having a 3% across the board cost of living increase, or are we going to merit-based increases?
The idea is that we're going to do a combination of merit and COLA for the future. And when we start our initial budget discussions, we're going to bring that to you for your approval going forward.
Great. Well, I appreciate your patience in answering the questions. I may have many, many more, so be ready.
That's what we're here for.
All right, thank you. So is there any discussion from the dais, any debate? No? All
I
right.
just want to say that.
You're recognized.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to say that before the mayor was in office, we had been briefed previously on these issues.
Great. All right, with that, I'll take a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to comment too. So,
You're
yeah.
recognized,
Thank you,
Commissioner.
Thank you. So, yeah, we went through this before, had conversations with Stan, with Audra and Tiffany about this. And we recognized, obviously, the discrepancy in some of the salaries, obviously, compared to other municipalities and county employees. And then also recognizing the cost of living increase. That's why, obviously, the COLA is something that it's pretty standard. And, I understand the mayor's comments and the way it was done before. But question to you, Audra. So from now on, and question to you, Stan, we will budget for the
Let me just
COLA
stop you.
on a yearly basis,
Commissioner
correct?
Lemon.
Yes.
Everything should go through the chair.
Okay. Question
Just say through the chair, that's all you have
Through
to
the
say.
chair, okay. So question is, so now, from now on, moving forward, we're going to budget the COLA on a yearly basis, correct?
The intention from the manager is for Tiffany to prepare in the annual budget presentation to you, a COLA that is effective every 10/1 so that you can see the full annual impact in the budget and not only 6 months' worth. Yes.
Okay, and why would the COLA be budgeted only 6 months previous years
I cannot,
before?
I
Yeah.
cannot suppose as to why that was done that way.
Okay,
I have no reason. It was just the direction of the former manager, and that was pretty much a tradition in the years that I am familiar with.
okay.
No reason.
And what happened to the other half of the COLA? Or
The
it was not giving?
The
to
next year it
employee?
was whole year, but in the year of the budget, it only showed half.
Okay, all right, we'll have to talk about that. Thank you.
And just for clarification purposes, Commissioner, and I'm sorry that Tiffany's not here, that we're sort of putting you on the spot.
That's okay.
But you have the expertise, so I feel very confident that you can answer these questions. For the purposes of clarification, Commissioner Lama said that this is pretty standard. Is this pretty standard in municipalities to have a across-the-board 3% COLA as well as salary increases?
So the COLA, from my experience, and I spent, as you probably know, 15 years in school districts, okay? So it is standard to have an annual COLA. It is often similar to the CPI. CPI in historical perspectives back ranged anywhere from 2% to 5%, depending on the year and what was happening. We've had two very unusual years in a row now, where if you look at the 12-month history of the consumer price index rate, rise, we are running somewhere between 8 and 10%. So is it standard to have a COLA? Yes. Does the amount vary? Absolutely. It's going to vary in accordance with the economy. And so what would be proposed to you on an annual basis would be something that helped your employees remain in line with the inflation that is occurring so that they can afford to live here in Miami-Dade County.
Okay. And one more question.
Certainly.
Maybe I have more. So especially for the employees that are making the lower end of the salary, I'm very much in full support of that, because for the reasons that you mentioned, inflation. When we start getting to the much higher salaries, I believe that is different. So I just want to say that for the record, my biggest concern is having employees that received I'm not positive, but I assume a much needed increase based on the Evergreen study of up to 30%. Them receiving an additional 3% when potentially it could have been given to the other employees that were making much less is something to discuss for the future. So that was my biggest concern. It's a double dipping. It feels like a double dipping to me. So is there any public comment?
No,
Did
ma'am.
anyone sign up?
Not for this item.
No. Okay, thank you. I'll take a motion then.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, this is an
A
ordinance.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Commissioner Joseph,
Yes.
Commissioner Lama,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Vizcarra,
Yes.
Mayor Svechen.
No, for the reasons that I stated.
Okay, the ordinance is adopted 3-1.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
Audra.
all.
Next item. I'm just going to interrupt you. If anyone wants to sign up to speak, please go and get a speaker's card.
Okay. We are now in the section of resolutions. The first one is 10A, a resolution authorizing the Chief of Police in accordance with the Comprehensive Crime Control Act of 1984 to expend partial forfeiture funds from the Department of Justice federal forfeiture account for the purchase of 3 unmarked vehicles with emergency equipment.
Good evening once again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Manager. The Police Department is seeking approval to expend Department of Justice forfeiture funds to purchase 3 unmarked police vehicles for the amount not to exceed $165,000. The current life cycle of unmarked police vehicles is approximately 7 years. These 3 vehicles will replace vehicles currently in use for at least that designated amount of time and are in need of replacement. These vehicles will be equipped with police emergency equipment, which is included in the estimated unit price.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the dais? Commissioner Joseph, you're recognized.
Thank you. Chief, I'd just like to have a question about the ticket writers. Have they been installed yet in the cars?
Not yet. They're currently working on a connectivity issue between the courthouse and us, but we're like at the 10-yard line right now.
Right. Okay, 10-yard line.
Commissioner Lama, did you have any questions? No. Vice Mayor? All right. Do we have any public comment?
No, ma'am.
All right. With that, I'll take motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And this is a resolution.
It's a voice vote.
Voice call.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next item, please.
Madam Mayor, if I just may add a comment, we received speaker cards for the discussion items which have been deferred. I just wanted to mention that to I believe they left already, actually, so never mind.
Yeah, just as a reminder, the discussion items were deferred since Commissioner Stevenson not here.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Okay.
City Clerk, may I?
You're recognized.
One discussion item is still on, just
Oh, pardon me, that's
12A.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I meant yes, the,
12A.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Pardon,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, next item is 10B, a resolution approving an in-kind donation to the North Miami Beach Little League.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. This resolution, North Miami Beach Little League provides a quality baseball program for the children that reside in Sunny Isles Beach. In order to keep enrollment costs low for their participants, they are requesting in use of our baseball fields for an in-kind donation. They'll average about 175 hours. We will make sure that they are, the field is available for their use and it doesn't interfere with any other programs that we have going on. And yes.
Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Lama, you recognized?
Thank you. No, it's great to see him out there playing ball. So yeah. This is something that, yeah. And they were here, I don't know if you were here at the time when they came and they presented to us. They came.
It was not.
Yeah, it was great
Not
to
yet.
see them, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, anything that promotes sports, music, something that keeps the kids, busy on something good, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes,
Commissioner Joseph?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Also, I understand that because Sunny Isles Beach does not have enough children to fill the baseball field for teams, that we're happy to have outside cities join us.
Yeah, that we don't have enough residents to fill the charter, so we do have about 45 to 50 kids that do participate in North Miami Beach's league.
Thank you.
And we welcome them.
Yeah, thank you.
And I do want to add that we have a large influx of people coming from the Northeast, so that may change the demographic of the sports. And also, I did have a conversation with the city manager and assistant city manager about the parking situation, because that has been a concern for residents who wanted to come to Pelican Park during the baseball games. So we just want to let everyone know that the parking lot at the school, we officially have the right to use that when there is no school. So just on the record. Thank you.
That's great, thank you.
All right, with that, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second, Commissioner Joseph. So this is a
Voice
voice
vote?
call? Voice vote, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is 10C, a resolution approving the expenditure of budgeted funds with Software House International for the purchase of computer-related hardware for the city's computer and communications infrastructure.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission, staff. The item before you is a resolution to approve the purchase of a replacement for our computing infrastructure. This equipment was purchased 5 years ago, approved by City Commission in February of 2018, so almost exactly 5 years ago. The server processors are no longer supported, they're end of life. We usually like to evaluate options, and we did. We approached a secondary vendor, Dell, and initially both quotes came in the high 300,000s, and we were able to negotiate down to 219, and that is the resolution before you. We decided to continue with the same vendor that we went with 5 years ago because their service and support has been great, and we're happy with the performance of the infrastructure.
Thank you. Is there any debate? Commissioner Joseph, did you want to say something?
No.
No?
We're good.
Anyone else? Are there any public speakers? All right, with that, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Yes, motion.
Second, Commissioner Joseph, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item.
10D is a resolution approving the expenditure of budgeted funds with Toshiba Business Solutions for a 4-year lease of 3 copiers.
Honorable Mayor, Commission, this item is to replace 3 copiers in the police department. These machines are owned by us currently. We have gone back and forth between owning and leasing, and 2 years ago we made the decision to go back to leasing because we had many issues with purchasing the machines and the ongoing support and maintenance costs thereafter. It is not in the information provided to you, but the 3 machines that are there currently, we are spending $13,200 a year just in the per copy charges. That is significantly more than the total 4-year estimated cost of the lease, including all of the per copy charges.
Thank you for the additional information. Anyone on the dais have a question?
Yes, I have one question.
You're recognized.
Thank you. When you have the lease with with Toshiba, I'm familiar with Toshiba machines. I've had them in the past. Are you required to buy the toner cartridges from them as well?
That the toner is provided as supplies, and by Toshiba, we pay the per copy charges. So we basically pay. There's a meter on the machines, and we are billed based on our usage.
Right. Okay. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? All right. Do we have any public speakers? With that, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second by Commissioner Lama. This is a voice vote. Everyone, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, please.
10E is a resolution approving a parking license agreement between the City of Sunny Isles Beach and 18975 Collins Condominium Association for the use of a portion of the parking lot underneath the William Lehman Causeway.
Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the Commission, this is a parking agreement between the city and Armani. Armani approached the city requesting parking for their employees. It is for 22 spaces, and the city will receive $5,500 per month. The city may cancel the agreement at any time.
Thank you. Any questions on the dais? Commissioner Joseph, you're recognized.
Yes. I'd just like to say thank you, Mayor. That these leases do not interfere with our plans to possibly do the underpark. Is that correct, City Manager?
Yes, yes it is.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Thank you.
You wanted to follow up?
No.
No? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify, because I was going back and forth with the city manager on this. During this past year, I received many questions about parking from the various buildings. In fact, I think that's probably our most important commodity at this point. We are short on parking. So I was concerned that perhaps we don't have a process in place to allow others to also purchase parking. I'm very comfortable with this arrangement. They're basically paying $250 per spot, which is a good price, and the fact that we can come out of it if we need to. But at some point, I would like to discuss with you all on the dais about a process that allows perhaps a bidding or some sort of process that allows for others to purchase parking. I know that we have parking for our residents, which is at a significant discount, but this is very different. There's many buildings that have, Winston Towers, Trump 1, 2, and 3. Basically, I'd say every single one. So I appreciate all the conversations that we've had, and I appreciate the work that's been put into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We will place this as a discussion item for next month.
Great, thank you. Do we have any public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay, with that, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Joseph. Thank you. Next item?
All in favor?
Oh, sorry. Pardon me.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is 10F, a resolution ratifying a second amendment to the lease agreement between the City of Sunny Isles Beach and Suffolk Construction Company.
Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commission, in July of 22, we entered into an agreement with Suffolk to rent out the Tony Roma space, the former Tony Roma space next door, to use for office space while they finish out their building. The initial lease was for $5,000 for a small portion of the area. We were in the bid process, and so we only gave them a small area, and then we extended it to double the size to 10,000. And at this point, they were to be out December 31st. The bids were rejected, and we felt that this was a good opportunity to rent the space for the same amount as the base rent from Tony Roma's and collect some revenue without us investing any anything into any improvements until we can go back out to bid and, use the restaurant for the purpose it was intended. So for now, we have entered into a second amendment. It's here for ratification because we had to do this before December 31st, and it is for the full property at $20,000. And they are responsible for all of the taxes. The property taxes is estimated at $60,000. That's what we had to pay the last time we had to pay taxes. And they are responsible for all utilities.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from the dais? No. I just wanted to add that I also, because again, I needed to catch up, so we had extensive conversations about this. You all might have already been talking about it. And for the purposes of the public, we had conversations whether this was a fair price, given the price of office space. And this is certainly a lot less per square foot than you would normally pay in our city. However, the arrangement is in my opinion, a very solid arrangement that favors us because we can pull out at any moment and they are still responsible for the property taxes. It still allows us to move forward with bidding or RFPs, or whatever it is that we all decide to do. So I appreciate the time that you took and City Manager that you took to help me, bring me up to speed on this. So thank you.
If I may.
You may.
I think this is a good example, as with the other amendment we were talking about. You can't just look at the dollar signs. You really have to look at context. And right now, the way that I saw the video. Right now, the way that the space is, it couldn't possibly be rented out to a restaurant without making major improvements. We're getting the money that we would be getting out of it if we still had the tenant, which if they had not gone under, we would still have them. We'd be still getting that money. They're paying the utilities, and we can get out of it whenever we need. Like it's really an ideal arrangement for our needs right now. We don't have to pay taxes. It's for what we have. Maybe if this was, a business space somewhere else, others would be, paying a lot more. But it would be a 5-year lease. It would be, fixed. It would be different. And that's not what we have. So context matters. It's not just the dollar signs. I think given our context, this is a very good arrangement, and it gives us the flexibility we need, and it serves the needs of the current tenants, which have been good tenants. So why not?
Thank you. Commissioner Joseph, you recognize?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So, City Manager, Mr. City Manager, do we have any?
Through the chair.
Yes, sorry. Do we have any idea of when the garage might be completed?
I think the estimates were sometime in December. Is that right? December. Yes, sir.
Okay. So then we might put out for bid sometime in October, maybe?
Probably
August?
prior
maybe?
to August, yes.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
very good.
Do you have any public comment?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is 10G, a resolution ratifying the City Commission meeting schedule for calendar year 2023. Self-explanatory, Madam Mayor. It's setting the schedule for the next 10 months, with the exception of August, which is the recess month. I will mention that there has been discussion about changing the recess month from August to December, and that's basically a decision of the commission.
Great, thank you. So this is, in case it's not clear, this is just setting the dates for our meetings, similar to today's meeting, which we could not move because it was voted on, so that even if we wanted to move it, and we did ask the school board to move their meeting, that didn't happen. This is put in place, and I appreciate the care that the staff took in making sure that it did not interfere with any holidays. I believe last year there was a little bit of an issue with that, but now that's been corrected, so thank you. And then, so I need a motion to amend this because I understand that there was interest in changing it the off month that we normally have in August to December in order to accommodate schedules and really make it a much more robust time during the summer when we're discussing and making changes to the budget for the following year. So I need a motion to amend.
Well, if I may.
Wait, you're recognized.
I'm recognized, Commissioner.
Thank you. Through the chair, you speak to.
I don't know that I personally am affected one way or the other, but to me, it makes sense that to have December off, just because almost everybody has holidays in December. And we had trouble, right, this past year, having people be present when they were needed because of the way that the Christmas break was and the winter break. So to me, it makes more sense to have it in December. And I don't know why August was chosen initially. I understand that also people travel in the summer, and so maybe that was the reason, but I'm okay with changing we can try. Let's try it this year. But do we have any conflict in August with any holidays?
That is a good question. I don't have the answer to that. I would have to check
There are no
and get back
holidays
to you.
in August.
So
I have no idea.
But
Because
if
some holidays change from year I don't know.
Madam
So,
Mayor,
yeah, if we can just stick to the process.
Yeah.
Yes, you recognize.
So what I can do is, we can, if it's the will of the commission, we can change the recess month to December, adding a meeting in August, and I'll get back to the commission with any conflicts that there may be, if there are any. And if not, then we can just keep the schedule that we have right now as the third Thursday of August being the day of the meeting.
Okay. Did you have something to add, Commissioner Lama?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
So let's say we do change it to December, correct? Question, in August, when does school start usually? When does school restart?
It's
Is
usually
it
about
on
the 23rd or 27th, something like that.
The 23rd?
Late teens, early 20s.
It's after,
It's on the fourth week, basically,
it's the
of August.
fourth week, yes,
Of August,
usually.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, no.
Well,
fill
I
out a
was going to ask
public
her if
speaking
she's
card
the
if you-
teacher, yeah.
No, we're not doing that anymore.
No, I know, it's hard. So, no, I'm just trying to think, because people take vacations, they want to go away for the summer, so that's why I'm asking. Now, could it be feasible perhaps to do it in August, but on the fourth week, on the fourth Thursday of August?
Madam.
Just to accommodate, so we have the best of both worlds. We could have, for those of us that like to take vacation, we could take vacation, come back like on the 22nd, and then we could have December as well.
Okay, just a reminder, Commissioner Lama, it should be through the chair, the questions.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, so right now, we're setting the schedule for the coming year, and if it's the consensus of the commission to have the meeting in August on the fourth week, then we can certainly schedule it that week, provided that there are no conflicts with any religious holidays.
So, if I may, I just think that it is my opinion that generally school's already starting, sometime in August, and if we put this date in August right now, we still have the third Thursday, just to keep it consistent. Because my concern is that the public is used to, those at least that are coming to commission meetings and watch them on TV are used to it being the third Thursday rather than having to think of an actual date. They just know it's the third Thursday. Sometimes you have 5 Thursdays in a month. So just to keep it consistent, I would recommend just adding the Thursday in August. And then if you feel very strongly, Commissioner Lama, that you would like to change it, I think we can bring that up certainly at another meeting. This is not set in stone. As long as we vote to change it later, we can. Is that correct?
If I may.
You're recognized.
Thank you. So I'm looking at the August 2023. There happens to be 5 Thursdays.
Yep.
So, and the third one would be the 17th. So I'm assuming that school would probably be starting the 21st or the 27th.
Correct, yes.
So I don't know how much that would interfere.
Okay, I will make an exception. They've already published it. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
No, we can't hear you. You
Okay,
have to come to the
it's
microphone.
The
for you to
17th,
speak.
that it's,
So it's going to be this, come to the microphone, please. Would you mind coming to the microphone, Ms. Mass, just so that we can get clarification? Otherwise, we're going to be going back and forth here.
Sorry, I'm Carla Mast, 310 Point Sienna Island Drive. I believe they just approved this at the school board meeting last night, and it's on the web. And it says the 17th because they start earlier now so that they can have a whole week off of Thanksgiving.
All right, so it's.
So it's
this-
actually a Thursday.
would be the same day.
It would be the
So
commission.
All right, so
School
could we
starts-
just wait,
sorry.
hold on a second. Are you finished?
almost. So based
Okay.
on what Ms. Mast says, then our August commission meeting would be at the very beginning of school, so it actually lines up nicely, and it would be a good year to test it and see if and then if it doesn't work, we go back to normal next year. So
Okay.
I'm inclined to go with keep it for the reasons you stated, keep it on the third Thursday, and try the August meeting and have December off.
Commissioner Lama, did you want to add?
I concur.
Okay, so, thank you. And this may seem a little bit too much that we're discussing this, but this is really important. This is for the public to have access to this body and to be able to participate. And we want to make sure that everyone on the dais is available, so that we're available to you. So, do we have any public speaking cards?
No, ma'am.
Okay, with that, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, if I just may clarify,
Oh, as amended.
yes, so
Pardon me,
just to
yeah.
clarify the record, the resolution or the motion is to approve the resolution as amended, adding a meeting in August on the 17th and being December as a recess month.
Okay, so
Correct.
do we need another motion? or
If
is
you
that?
can just do the-
I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item?
Next item is 10H, a resolution electing a vice mayor. Do you want me to introduce?
No, I'll go ahead. So every year, it's written in our charter that the mayor nominates a vice mayor, and the commission votes on it. This is a particularly unusual situation because normally the city mayor has more time with the commission in order to make that decision, so it's a little bit hard. And especially for me, because I know everyone on this dais actually for many, many years, in some cases more than 10 years. So this was a little bit of a difficult decision. And for me, I ultimately said to myself, what I think that who would make a good vice mayor this time around, because this can change every year, or it could be the same person year after year, would be someone that is really willing to kind of roll up their sleeves and perhaps do what sometimes I kind of do, which may be often push the boundaries and really get into it with the public and make themselves available. So do I just name the vice mayor? So I would like to name Commissioner Joseph. Okay. So please, no clapping. Thank you. All right. So procedurally, do I need a motion? Okay, I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Then I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. We can clap right now.
Thank you.
So. All right. Next item? Oh, wait. Oh, we voted. Go ahead.
Okay, so next item on the agenda are the discussion items, and before we move to 12A, because I see Mr. Tratner here, the items that you requested to speak on have been deferred, so just so that you don't sit through the whole.
You
all
may,
the
if you'd
remaining
like
items.
to speak on, during just your regular public comment, just it won't be to a specific item. Thank you.
So the only discussion item that we have left is 12A, a discussion regarding a sublease of the FDOT property.
Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission. So a little history, the city has the lease agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation for property that is owned by the state that resides in our city, that is under the Sunny Isles Boulevard Bridge. And if you're familiar, unlike the layman, there's a space in between. There's a green open space that is not currently being used. It's just green open space. It's between the parking lot that we use for parking and the water. It is fenced off along the water's edge, but not adjacent to the parking lot. We have been requested, or we were approached by Rabbi Kaller, who's here tonight to give a presentation, to use that space for a public purpose. They would like to design, permit, and construct a playground and community garden area in the green space. It would not impact any of the parking. It would not impact our revenue. It would not create a greater expense for us. They would maintain it. And as a matter of fact, it may save us a little money because currently we pay for landscaping in that area. And they have a preliminary design so that we can approach FDOT to see if we could amend our lease agreement with them so that we could sublease just this portion out to Rabbi Kaller's organization. So he has a PowerPoint. We have a PowerPoint that has, we'll show you what it looks like. And Rabbi Kaller, if you'd like to come up and present, and Connie. I was asked a question. The lease agreement is for 10 years. I do not have the expiration date at the moment, but I will get that to you.
Thank you. Hello.
I'm with her. Dear Commission, good evening. I think actually Susan pretty much explained it all and described it all. As you know, we are in the final stages of construction of the community center, and a playground is really was a question that maybe we did not think through many years ago when we came to this commission and got the approval for our building. Initial idea was that maybe we would place it on the rooftop of the building, but even now during the winter, it's really very, very hot, and you cannot stay there for more than a few minutes, for especially extended period of time. Thus, actually many years ago, I think I even spoke during the when Mayor Edelkop and Lou Thaler was then the vice mayor. I think we discussed it then with Lou already then, when we were just thinking and dreaming about the community center, that maybe this area one day could be allocated and could be used for a playground. And today, we are here to request your agreement, again, subject to, of course, FDOT agreement and approval and blessing, for us to create their very nature-oriented kind of a green space, kind of a playground that could serve the kids that will be the visitors of the community center.
Thank you. Is there a PowerPoint?
I think.
Yes, Vanessa, can you show
Yes.
the images, please? Vanessa? You don't? Well, my sincere apologies.
Okay.
We do have a lovely rendering. I'll pass around my iPad if you would like. Rabbi Kaller submitted to us a rendering that his landscape architect had done that is very natural in its design. Everything is very green and wood. Connie, would you like to? Actually, I apologize. When I first saw it, I was on vacation, and I replied to Rabbi Kaller with, Connie did a great job. And then I found out it was him. Oh, they have it. Okay, there we go. Oh, and we lost it. Okay, would you like to walk us through it now that we can see it?
Yep, so because of the school's approach in our school, of our teaching is a nature-based child-led learning program. Our spaces in our other location are also custom designed to reflect that, and so we asked the landscaper to come up with a way that is aesthetically beautiful for people walking by, and something easy to maintain so that it always stays nice. We did reflect some ways that we can preserve some of the trees, which this is not really my forte or area of expertise, but he did show us in another rendering, that I don't know if it's included here, which of the, yeah, there was one that reflected the greenery that's involved, what he would add, which type of trees he would preserve. There. A lot of the trees that are there can still be used, and the side photos reflect the type of equipment that we would have there, which is very different than the typical plastic playground structures that you would find in any of the playgrounds. All natural materials, so wood, stone, gravels, planting areas, so similar to what we have now at the Gateway Park, where we created that community garden for the city. We will have the same type of, all in the up in the corner, that is our community garden area, and the rest of it is those type of play structures that are shown on the left, with incorporating a typical landscaping design, with includes like wooden benches, planters, plants, trees, and keeping the grassy area turf that there is now. The space is pretty much the same. I think we've only requested a little bit of pushback where it wouldn't affect the things like the mangroves or stuff that we can't touch.
Okay. Are there any questions in the dais? No? All right. I just want to say that we all talked about it for many years, and in an effort to be very transparent, I've known you all for many years. My children went to your school, so I've always been very supportive. But it also is very important that I am fair, and so this came up when I was speaking to the city manager and the assistant city manager. Why doesn't anyone else get access to be able to build something that it's for their exclusive use? And I was very happy with the conversation that we had, because the response was, well, this would be for everyone, and this does not differ very much than the arrangement we have with the school and Pelican Park. It's very similar. And most important, and we talked about this, is the safety issue, because these children would not have to cross over to Gateway Park, and they'd be able to, that's, to me, that's it. You don't have to, you sell me on that, because that's the most important thing, is to get those kids off of that street. So
That was the key reason why we had to push for this. The parents that are bringing their children either to services on Shabbat or to our preschool during the week, crossing the street was a big factor, and even being on the rooftop was a factor that didn't suit well with them, and so we just kind of looked around to see where there's space that can be better used.
Right, and that area generally
it's
is
really
not
just a dead
used
area.
for anything but parking
There isn't a lot
anyway.
of foot traffic there to begin with.
Correct.
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any public speakers? Oh, no, this is a discussion item, so we're not voting on anything.
There's no party, but if you want to allow public speakers, you
Okay.
can. However, we don't have any for these.
We don't have any,
Yeah,
okay.
regardless.
So what would be the next steps here?
We're just looking for consensus from the commission that this is a use that you would approve of, so that we can now give Rabbi Kaller the go-ahead to, continue this process, and we will work with FDOT, amend our lease agreement, develop an agreement between the city and Rabbi Kaller, so that we have it spelled out, the hours and
For a sublease.
everything else. For a sublease, yes.
If I
Okay,
may,
yes, you're recognized.
I mean, right now, this is just dead green space, right? It
It's
has,
been like that for quite a
it
while.
has no
already.
use.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is win-win, because it solves your concern. It creates a new space for the entire community to have access to when the school is not open. So I assume that would include weekends, or at least some weekend hours, and certainly evening hours. And it's an improvement to that space.
Yeah,
So
I don't know if it was Larissa or Susan, when you came to tour our location, and I spoke about, I did a presentation for whoever it was then on natural playgrounds for the city, and there was no space for that. If you look at, major cities now have that, nature-based programs, parks for the children, and all of our parks are really designed in a more traditional factor. And so it was important for us to provide also for our city families. We have a very diverse community coming from Europe or Eastern Europe or Latin America. If you go to their parks, they reflect something that's more progressive in the way that we approach early childhood now, and none of our cities reflect that. And so that was a dream of mine, not just for my own school, but to provide our own city children with an area that is a lot more nature-led.
I think that's very nice. I actually just took our Parks Master Plan survey, and it mentioned the natural, and I couldn't envision where we would put that. And now you've answered that. So, yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes, I agree, and I just have a question regarding the garden. Who would have access to the garden?
So they say, have you seen the community garden in the community, in the
Yes.
great, so we would do a similar process where we are the ones that created, the city allotted us an area, and then we developed it completely with our funds, and also now during the marketplace, we fund the gardener that is there present during the marketplace every Wednesday.
Right.
She's responsible for the materials, the program, the planting. We have not yet left out things like watering cans or tools for people to use, mainly because the city hasn't approved any of my signage on time. And until I have proper signage that's permanent near the area that has rules and asks people to take care of it and help us,
Right.
it's our expense, so I'm not willing to take that
Yes.
turn yet. So it'll be the same. The garden would be open to anyone that's using it during the hours that it's open to the public. And we may consider having it with the gardener at a certain date, just like we have for the gateway.
Right.
And if
Well,
you
I would
go there,
imagine
sorry?
I would imagine we have many people in the city with green thumbs that would be delighted to
And
plant vegetables in our-
I would love to continue to do that, continue to develop it first at the gateway. We've had a little bit of pushback. I haven't finished working it out with the city about how we can collaborate, because it's become really expensive for us to foot for the community usage a lot. So more than what we're doing now, I don't know that we can foot, but having the wider picture is to have bigger community events and more community involvement in our garden, more space so that we can do more vegetation. In our other location in our school, we have huge garden, fruits, vegetables, all kinds of caterpillar gardens that the children plant from A to Z and then bring that produce home. And that's really the long-term goal for my community garden and Gateway.
Now, how about the triangle next to where
That-
you had the sukkot?
That's a very dangerous space because it's not closed in.
Well, if it were closed in, that would be an excellent space for a garden, wouldn't
Behind
it?
the stage, you know, there was a butterfly.
Yeah, so since we're really the majority of the community that use the Gateway Park now with our school, and we have a really good idea of how many children are there throughout the day, because we're there and we're monitoring that. We take a walk through the butterfly garden, and it's quite nice, but it's also it's surface level involvement for children. When they're involved hands-on, that's when the education really comes in play. So once the city is ready to give up a little bit more space in the park or outside the park and help us co-fund a program where we can have much more involvement from not just children working with the gardener during the Gateway 1 hour a week, but helping that plant and one Sunday a month, or whatever it is, then absolutely, I would love to spearhead that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Lama, did you want to?
Yes, yes. I think it's a great idea. I just have a question regarding the management.
Through the chair. Very good, thank you.
Yeah. So my question is, so from what time to what time will you be using the space?
Ideally, it would be closed for us only from 8 to 6 daily, and then it would be open Saturdays after we're done with it from Shabbat services. So it'll be open about 1 o'clock till however late the city wants, and Sundays, all yours.
Okay.
But during the day, so that the safety is, we're liable for our students, it would be closed just to us. And then
So it'll be
as far
closed
as
from 8 to 6?
Yeah.
And then what about 6 to 9, like the other parks?
Are all
will
the
it be
parks
open
open
from-
till 9?
No, and we would establish those hours based on what the community around there would need.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
would say, based on what we're observing in the other parks, and that's much more central, with parking more available, it won't be necessary to keep it open till 9 during the week, but it can be like a weekend spot.
Or 8
Okay.
PM.
Or 8
to
p.m.
Yeah, sunset
And
time.
I imagine it gets
What?
darker
There's no-
there than in places like Gateway, where there's
but
high
have
traffic
people-
on both sides. It's not so well lit.
Right. We do have some parks that are just closed at sunset, so we'll have to determine that when we have a final plan.
Yeah.
If
And
there's no
then
lighting, then.
In our lease agreement, we would have to determine how the city is maintaining the safety
And the
the
staffing
maintenance.
and all of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. No, it's a great idea, I think.
I think that we would also have
looks-
to close off some equipment that won't be
Yeah.
available during the weekend. Equipment that requires educated
Yeah.
staff members using it. Some of the play materials, we would have to train the staff for certain, for example,
Yeah.
I can give you links to cities like in New York that use outdoor blocks and outdoor systems that need proper staff on site, and you would have to determine if you would want to include that during the weekend hours and provide that maintenance, or we just close it off and lock it up.
Okay, all right, thank you. So you did that rendering, Rabbi?
No, that was designed by our landscaper based on my instructions, and
okay.
actually, my response to that was, he understood the assignment.
Okay,
Great.
good. Yeah, it's
Just one more question for clarification. So it's going to be used during Shabbat. How about Jewish holidays?
Yes, same, but we can negotiate. So if it's a day that you're not willing to close it, we can share the space.
Great.
Most of the kids that would be coming are coming to our community.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so I believe you have the consensus.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right,
Madam Mayor.
fantastic. Thank you so much. We appreciate your help and support.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
If I may, Commissioner Viscara just reminded me, if we could do a little plug for our Parks and Rec Master Plan Survey, that would be wonderful.
Okay, so I'll say something and then you please chime in. So, are we able to, by any chance, put on the screen the link for, okay, I'm asking too much. Perhaps later on, we can push it out on social media. So we do have a Parks Master Plan that is currently being developed. And one of the initiatives, or rather the initiative, is to look at it holistically and look at all of the space that the city owns, which is park space and potentially not park space, any space and I guess even FDOT space. So I at first did have some reservations about this because this sort of puts the cart before the horse, since we are moving along and developing a park before the Parks Master Plan. So it really is important for everyone to participate in this survey and give as much feedback as possible. And because I do appreciate that they're paying for it, so it kind of makes it a lot easier for us to allow that. Did you want to add anything else?
Just the website. Oh, look, she did. See how awesome they are? There it
Great.
is.
Thank you.
oursibparksplan.com. And there's a introduction video. That's a little red square there. And then when you scroll down, the survey is right there. And we have it in English, Spanish, and Russian.
I urge you all to please fill it out, share it. We have historically worked very hard to get input from the public, and what inevitably always happens is that when the input is closed down, people may say, I didn't get to give my input. So please, I encourage everyone to please share it and be as honest as possible, because this is going to be the plan for the next 10 years, correct? And potentially
5, 10, and 20, yes.
Well, exactly, because the playground equipment at Town Center Park, I still have pictures of my 17-year-old
Yes.
in there as a child, so this is for a long time. Did you want to add something, Commissioner
Yes, I
Viscara?
believe, yes, thank you. On the Islander, there was an article that addressed it, so, you know, that the link will be there. So you can find it online, or you can get your physical, you know, in the newsletter. And also it talks about your needs, your family. So you know, it's not a test, just you can provide whatever would suit your family. And the more input you give, the more people give their input, the more likely that the city's gonna get it right. But if 4 people answer, and then we always give the skateboard park example. If only, you know, a handful of people answer and we go with that data, then everybody complains when everything is done. And undoing the work then becomes double the expense. So please, just take the time. It takes like 10 minutes. And give us some data to work with so we can make you happy.
Thank you. Yes. Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you. So I just have one question regarding the master plan now. Is the tennis court, pickleball courts on the south side of the city, is that moving forward affected by this survey that we're waiting for now? Or can that go forward on further consensus?
Would you like to answer that question?
Yes, it is currently moving forward based on the last meeting that you had. So it is not waiting for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Right, so we still have to have a discussion, though, regarding shared space or not, correct?
I believe the discussion portion is over. We've shared everything that we captured from that meeting with the consultant, and they are going to come back. They are professional park designers. They're going to come back with what is best used for that based on everything that, you can't put absolutely everything in there, so they're going to come back with a best case recommendation. They may give you a choice A or B, but it would be limited to that. It would not be a further discussion about what's going in there.
Right, because my feeling is that for the best use of the area, shared space is not ideal.
Understood.
Okay, so do we have any public speakers?
No, ma'am, not for this item.
So do you need any more direction from the commission, or are we all set? Okay, so because we just did the plug. So public speakers for the sign
Are
up?
we
Yes.
moving on from this item? Okay, so now we're at the citizens forum, and we do have one public speaker, Louis Taylor.
Lou Thaler, 19333 Collins Avenue, apartment 1707. Let me be the first to congratulate you, Jerry, and it will not help your tennis.
It was quite unexpected.
Don't engage.
I would like, it was something, I didn't come up for that, but as long as public speaking. On the pickleball, somebody should check the amount of noise. Let's not have the same problem that we had with the skateboard. Because living on the ocean, when they play paddleball on the ocean, I'm on the 17th floor, and we've had the police down to stop them because the noise was so great. So I just throw that out for somebody to look at that. What I came up here for was that you created a charter committee. I was not on the committee on the area, but 10 years ago, when we had the last one, we redid the voting area for the commissioners. When I say that, we changed the areas that fit for each and every commissioner so that we balanced the city and that each commissioner had the opportunity to have an equal amount of people voting in their own area. And this is 10 years later. We have a substantial amount of growth, and I just want to throw it out that this charter committee should look at that and try to balance the city again, or rebalance the city based on the growth on the east side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
And just for the record, I want to remind everyone that the meetings for the Charter Commission are open to everyone, and you can always go there and listen and participate as you see fit. So thank you for that. All right, so I just want to say thank you again to this commission for being so welcoming and your patience and your time this last 2 weeks that I've had to catch up to the staff. Thank you very much. Thank you for putting together that presentation. And I thank everyone here. I did not say Happy New Year. But that's only because Ms. Mass has told me that you are really not supposed to say that after January 15th based on etiquette, but I did not get an opportunity, so I will say Happy New Year. So thank you. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the appointment.